The biomechanics of rowing. Rowing is a sport where you repeat the same action throughout a race. The aim of rowing is to travel through 2 kilometers in the fastest time through a repeated action known as the rowing stroke. To achieve this, multiple biomechanical principles must be considered. The 3 main biomechanical principles in rowing are force summation, stability, and Newton's 3 laws. First is force summation, which is the use of muscles from biggest to smallest and the right timing and sequence through a full range of motion to generate optimal force. Next is stability, which involves the line of gravity, center of gravity, and base of support. The third principle is Newton's laws, which are the law of inertia, the law of acceleration, and the law of action-reaction. Newton's laws. Newton's law of inertia states that an object at rest stays at rest and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. This is relevant as the boat will not move unless the rower transfers energy to the oar and then to the water. In this diagram, examples of force being applied while the boat is in motion and at rest are shown. The top image represents that when at rest, force can be applied to move the boat in the desired direction. The law of inertia can also be used to stop a boat while it is in motion by an action known as checking, where the rower places the oar blade in the water but does not move them in any direction, causing the boat to stop. This is represented in the below image. Newton's law of action-reaction states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is relevant to rowing as when you push the oar through the water pushes back, propelling the boat in the opposite direction, as seen in the bottom image. This concept can also be applied to turn the boat. If the direction of the force from the oar is aimed towards the boat through a forward movement, the boat will turn in the opposite direction of that force. Newton's law of acceleration states how the velocity of an object changes when it is subjected to external force. This is relevant to rowing because the amount of force put into a stroke will increase the acceleration of the boat, and the direction of the force can also cause the boat to turn. This diagram shows that the more force applied will lead to greater acceleration, and the amount of force required to move a boat depends on its mass. More newtons of force applied is equal to higher acceleration and the velocity of the boat. An example of this is in bigger and heavier rowing craft, where 8 people are needed to generate enough force to move the boat, compared to a lighter craft where only 1 person is needed to produce enough force. Center of gravity is an imaginary balancing point where the body weight can be assumed to be concentrated and equally distributed. The line of gravity is an imaginary vertical line that passes through the center of gravity and extends to the ground. A base of support is an imaginary area that surrounds the outside edge of the body when it is in contact with the surface. These concepts are relevant to rowing because if your line of gravity leaves your base of support, you will fall backwards off your seat. Or if it is close to the edge of your base of support, being the point that your legs touch the foot stretcher extending to the back of the seat, you will be unstable, causing the boat to be unbalanced. In this diagram, the base of support is represented by a red line and the center of gravity is represented by a blue dot. The solid figure shows correct technique and positioning of the center of gravity relative to the base of support. The figure with the broken lines shows the incorrect technique and the center of gravity is too far back, making the rower unstable. This diagram shows 2 different positions in the rowing stroke and their different centers of gravity and bases of support. Diagram 1 shows a top-down view of the positioning of the oars at the finished position. At this point, the oars are angled straight out of the boat and the base of support is at its widest. At this point in the stroke, the boat is extremely balanced and it is difficult to flip the boat. Diagram 2 shows the boat at the catch position where the oars are angled towards the front of the boat. At this point in the stroke, the base of support is the smallest it will be and the boat is more susceptible to flipping. At the catch position, a small movement of the oar to one side could shift the centre of gravity out of the base's support, causing the boat to flip. Force summation is a crucial part of the rowing stroke, as the correct timing and sequence of movements during the stroke can be crucial towards generating the most force and being the most efficient with each pull of the blade through the water. Force summation is seen in this video as the rower separates his movements in the correct timing using different muscle groups in each part of the stroke. To start the stroke, the rower pushes off the foot stretcher with their legs, which provide 50% of the power. During this movement, back extension begins and the arms, which provide 30% of the power, are brought in to allow for a continued acceleration of the blade through the water. At the end of the stroke, the muscles in the back, which provide 20% of the power, engage and the body rocks backwards to create a more efficient movement and allow for the blade to travel further through the water and generate the optimal amount of force. This set of diagrams shows the use of muscles from biggest to smallest, starting at the catch position, where the rower's arms are at full extension, their back and legs are fully compressed, with their shins perpendicular to the water. Rowing is a periodic movement that incorporates this sequencing as precisely as possible for more than 200 strokes during a race, and therefore force summation is crucial to impacting the boat's velocity. The more sequenced the use of muscles is in the stroke, the more efficient each stroke will be. Over 200 strokes, a small change can make a big difference and help to win a race.